Hello, Chelsea, and welcome to the Make Life Rich Movement podcast. Thank you so much for coming on.
Hi. Oh my gosh. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Pilates, how do we discuss the beauty that is Pilates? Everyone, today we are very lucky to have Chelsea Stewart, who is the founder and owner of Haven Hot Pilates that's located in Denver. And her extremely successful and continually evolving career within the fitness industry made her feel like the perfect person to come on today and not only discuss Pilates and her twist on Pilates and the way that Haven works, but I really am excited for her to share her insight on just evolving your fitness practice to work alongside your body, what it's telling you, your needs. And I don't think it's a conversation that's really had much. And I'm really excited to not only learn about Chelsea's journey today with her fitness evolution and just the different ways in which she's learning to care for her body. And I think we're all going to learn a lot about it today. So thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk everything that you just mentioned about being growing up as an athlete and then turning into a fitness coach and instructor and then putting my body kind of just through the ringer and going from these extreme endurance races where I was cycling and on a bike for 16 hours a week and just kind of destroying my body and being like, why are we doing this? Why as women do we think that we have to go to these extreme measures when really I have been in this industry for so long, and I was like, you know what? I can create something that is essentially like an amalgamation of all the things that I know work, that feel good with our bodies, and that just at the end of the day is something that's not going to tear us down, but really empower us and lift us up.
Yeah, it's so refreshing for you to have not only just explained that there was that moment where you kind of hit a wall and you're like, why? But I want to peel that back a little bit and get to where you started because I think a lot of where we get started leads us to where we are having these aha moments. When was your earliest memories of movement and athleticism being something that you were just like a moth to a flame for? Because I can sense that this is something that you've had in you for a while. You're a mover, you're a doer, you're very physical, I can tell.
Yeah. Gosh, my very first thought of movement, I have been an active child. Literally, I feel like I came out of the womb running. I played every single sport under the sun. So growing up, I played literally soccer, basketball, volleyball, tennis, did horseback riding. And then once I got into high school, I narrowed it down and focused on volleyball and tennis. And it was great until I got hurt. I tore my ACL and meniscus in high school playing volleyball, and it really set me back. Yeah, it's something where, unfortunately, a lot of women, especially athletes, they, I don't know what happens, but their meniscus and their ACL, that tear is very common in young women. So I had that, got set back, had surgery, and then just being my overactive hyper self was like, I'm just getting straight back into it and started playing tennis probably too soon and never let my knee really heal. So high school happened, I get into college, and I'm like, how do I make sure that I'm still healthy, still trying to incorporate physicality into my day to day? Because let's be honest, you go to college, you have all of this freedom, and you no longer have a structure. You don't have people telling you what to do if you're not in the athletic program there. So I definitely, for probably like a year, fell off, and I just felt so bad. I never woke up feeling super energized. I always felt like lethargic and kind of just like I was like going through the motions. So I signed up to do a 200-hour yoga teacher training program. And through that, that is when everything really set in deep, where I was like, yes, I know that I love athletics and I love moving my body and feeling really physical, but how does this translate so that I can help others feel the way that I feel? So I went through that whole program, started teaching yoga, and was like, this is awesome. I'm strengthening my leg back up. I'm getting really back into my body. But there was just still something that I was missing. I love yoga. I love it, but it just wasn't hard enough, if you catch my drift. I was like, I need something that is really, really, really just going to push it over the edge. So I have always loved cardio. I'm like a cardio queen and could just go for hours and hours, which is hilarious. So then I started teaching indoor cycling. And through that, I was like, this is so fun. This is so energizing. But I was doing that for years and I felt like my body wasn't changing. I was like, I'm not
Mhm.
getting toned. I'm not like this super lean person when I'm on a bike for so many hours a day. I'm like, what is happening? And I realized that my body was just constantly on overdrive, constantly on this cortisol high of like, how do I stay alive? I just have to like hold on to everything. So I was like, there's got to be a better way. And that's when I really started leaning into Pilates and strength training and was like, it feels so good on my body because it's safe. You're talking about your alignment and your form, and you're connecting into deep, deep muscles that otherwise you're not tapping into when it comes to like traditional strength training. But I also am very aware that as we get older, now you and I were chatting offline of how every year we get older, our skin dries up and we're just like shriveling up. That's kind of the same thing with our muscles. Like the older we get, they deplete, they start to degenerate. And I'm like, I don't want to be that person where I'm 50, I'm 60, and I can't walk up the stairs because I don't have the strength. So I started to really dive in to the Pilates and strength aspect, dialed back my cardio like crazy. I told myself, I'm like, Chelsea, you're not allowed to do any cardio for 3 months, like 90 days, no cardio. Yep. And it was actually the leanest and the most in shape I had ever been.
Wow. How are
Yep.
you mentally at that moment? Like, was it more mental struggle than physical for you?
Yes. Like I love that you say that because honestly, the first 30 days were so hard because I felt like I had all this energy to blow off, but I didn't. At the end of the day, it was like this mindset where I had this cortisol high of I thought that I had to keep running and running and chasing. And then it was like once those 30 days passed, I felt like I had more energy and I was like, oh, because I'm not completely exhausted and my body isn't totally blown out. So I felt like I could actually be more productive in my day. And even though I was struggling so much mentally in the beginning, because to your point, you get into this cycle of like, I'm told and fed that I have to be super, super thin and I have to work out 2 hours a day. And the only way to get there is to do all this cardio. So then you're like, trying to reprogram everything you've learned. I'm 34, so I was trying to reprogram everything from childhood and thinking, okay, I see everyone doing this, but I'm not doing that. Am I wrong? Like, why is this feeling good in my body? And was just like constantly questioning myself. And then it was after those 90 days when I really felt stronger and I was like leaner and in such good shape. I had so many women because I was teaching reformer Pilates at the time say, what are you doing? Like, you look amazing. And I was like, I am doing basically nothing compared to what I was. Just put everything together of strength training mixed with mat Pilates and was like, this is what is working for me. This is what's feeling awesome. And then that was about almost 2 years ago. And during that time, I was like, I've been teaching for so long. It's time for me to create something of my own. So that's what I did. And I opened a studio, and it'll be 1 year in March. So it's been just a crazy journey.
Man, I think I want to point out a few things from what you just said. So we kind of grew up in the era where we were watching women going to 5 or 6 aerobics, and then it evolved to HIIT classes a week. Then we were seeing it transition into the high powered spinning classes where you're burning 1,200 calories, sweating out all of your electrolytes. We weren't being taught about mineral replenishment. We weren't being taught about the proper protein amount we needed for all of this work. And I think a lot of us within this age group of our 30s specifically were given really faulty building blocks for the epitome of what an active female's health looks like. And I really admire that you are kind of coming out in this way as a fitness professional to tell all of us that are looking to people like you, like, hey, we got to dial this back a bit here because what we thought was the right way for us is kind of no longer the case. And I think a lot of us burn through our 20s because we were young enough and our adrenals were like, okay, I'll keep up, but like it's going to slow down soon. And then 30 hits and your cortisol takes over. And then you're seeing the cortisol belly. Like I have cortisol face today because I know I've been pushing it, I'm doing too much. And it's interesting to see in our 30s as our body starts to say, you need to adapt to my changing because I'm not going to keep showing up to these classes with the same vigor. And quite actually, I'm going to start to do the opposite of what you're looking for me to do. So, you giving everyone the authority right here and right now to dial back your training, if not for making it easier or less intense for your workout, but just so you can kind of get a gauge of your energy levels. I think we're all running around like chickens with our heads cut off, just trying to be entrepreneur, family people. If you have children, like you're trying to make something of yourself, also self growth, and like make sure I get enough water. And am I drinking? And did I take my supplements today? Like it's just such an overwhelming amount of information. And I love that your advice and what you're providing from what you anecdotally have lived through now for 14 years of this evolution are able to kind of pinpoint that the very feeling inside of you was the indicator that something needed to change. It wasn't the results of what your body was doing, it was how you felt. So, for someone that's just trying to, I think a lot of women, especially, have a really hard time being able to know what our body feels like. I think we have a lot of disassociation from those feelings and those vibes. Could you kind of just give a little bit about what it felt like for you in the moment to where you, outside of injury, what were the things that you were feeling that you then realized during that 90-day reset were starting to come back to you that you didn't even knew you lost or were strained or, firing and wiring in the wrong way?
Yeah. Gosh, there's so many things that I want to point out. Like it's it's crazy how social media right now is projecting all of these different little lifestyle hacks. Like you have to get up at 4 a.m., you have to have 80 ounces of water before you even like go to the bathroom. And then you have to cold plunge. You have to do this entire regimen. And it's like, that's so unsustainable. And then it makes all of us feel like failures when we're trying to literally, like you said, keep our head above water. I am in a unique position in that I'm not married. I don't have kids. I can be a little more selfish with my time and invest all of it into my business and into my health, which I'm very grateful for. But back to your question of how did I know? I think it came down to seeing that I was working so hard and nothing was changing. And I was like, what the hell? Because I had my nutrition dialed in. I've always been very aware of what I'm putting in my body. And I do so much research and I do a lot of trial and error. I'm not big on processed foods. I've never been someone that's like, I'm just going to eat chips and crackers and all of this all day. So I've always been like, fruits, veggies. I even went pescatarian and ate like no meat for a while. And I was like, well, this doesn't serve my body. I just felt very lethargic. My skin literally was like almost translucent because I wasn't, it was crazy. And no one talks about that either. Women need meat and we need that. We need that iron supplement, especially in like a menstruating body. You need to replenish that. And when you don't have that, your body, you could see it on my body. I was so white. I was just like running off of vegetables, and you can only eat so much broccoli to sustain yourself.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is not it. So incorporated different foods back into my body, but what it really came down to was I was working so hard. I was eating right. I was getting enough protein. I was eating all the fruits, all the veggies. I was looking at my mineral intake. I was so regimented. And then I was like, yes, I was lean because I was working really hard, but it wasn't what I wanted in the fact that like I didn't feel strong. I didn't feel like God forbid something had happened. Like I was able to really maintain and feel good. So I was like, what is this? How do I change this? And I was like, okay, if you want to be someone that someone else, some other woman, be it in their 20s, in their 30s, or in their 40s, is looking up to as this person that's been in this space for so long, why don't you try 30 days? And if you can't do it for 30 days, what makes you think that someone else can? So I did it for 30 days and I was like, you aren't going to spend 16 hours a week working out. You're going to spend 6. And I literally dialed it back so much. And like I said, it was such a mind game at first where I had to jump all over these hurdles of like there's no way this is going to work. The only way that I'm going to actually see results is if I do more and I just keep killing myself in the gym and doing all this. And then I think once you get to a point where, exactly like you said, with like cortisol face, where your body's not so inflamed and just so overdriven, everything kind of, it's like your body goes like this, it expands, and then it just settles in and it comes right back into where it's supposed to land. I didn't change anything I was eating. In fact, I started eating a little more. I was doing less and I was shrinking. And I was like, oh my gosh. And not shrinking in a way that I was like so thin, but it was like I was actually getting stronger. I was seeing results. I was feeling better. I didn't have 2 p.m. come across the clock and be like, oh my gosh, I need 12 shots of espresso just to make it to 5. I was like, all right, I feel like I can make it through my day because I haven't spent 2 hours sweating and just burning everything off in my body.
It is really interesting too. And when you were discussing these classes and taking it from 16 to 6, and it made me think, there's such a difference in the way that your brain interprets so many different activities that you do. And I think we've technologically advanced so far that we've forgotten that the main mechanisms that our body operates under are still very primally provoked. And there was a moment where I was obsessed. I lived in Philadelphia for 18 years before I moved home here a few years ago. And oh my God, and I was a publicist. So like any new gym opening, if I was working with them, became obsessed, taking like 2 spin classes a day. And then it became like, oh, I'm obsessed with hot yoga now. All of these things were great. But because of the obsession that kind of got attached to them, they very quickly became unhealthy in the regard that my body was just constantly under pressure. Like, who are we running from here? Like, where's the saber-toothed tiger? Are you ever going to stop? Is there going to be a moment where there's a day or two where we're not running around crazy from a saber-toothed tiger? And again, the cloak of youth really does not allow a lot of your alarm bells to be firing loud enough for you to hear. But it's so interesting to see that throughout your evolution, you kind of did go from one extreme to another until you found the mix that worked for you. And I'm wondering if the special edition to Haven with the red light therapy was that thing that kind of kicked it up a notch, not only for you personally, because you like a good challenge, but do you feel that the component of how you practice your Pilates now is really kind of tackling both ends while still keeping your body in that symbiosis where it's not thinking it needs to get up and run away?
Yeah. So at Haven, we do a combination of 3 things. So it's Pilates, mat Pilates, strength, and then heat. So it's infrared heat. So not red light, but infrared. So we still have those like infrared panels that are giving you all those good detoxifying rays, if you will. So yes, the combination of all 3 together is really what amplifies and makes it different because yes, you are sweating and you are detoxing, which I'm a big believer in sweating because it's such a good and powerful way to detox, get those toxic minerals, toxic waste out of your body, but also in a way to replenish. So back to your point earlier of when you're sweating out all of this. Now, I do really focus and tell every single client that comes in the door, hydrate, replenish with all of your minerals, all of your electrolytes, get all of that back into your body. But we do want everything to flush out. So, coupling that with classical mat Pilates techniques. So, you're doing everything from like a Pilates roll up to a teaser, stuff like that, but then also incorporating the strength into it. So, we use heavier weights instead of like a traditional, let's say, bar studio where you go to maximum like 8-pound weights. We go up to 15 pounds and we really, really focus and isolate each muscle group at a time. So we'll focus on the core and we're going to burn out your core and focus on the deep activation, but it's not through these very high intensity, you're moving so fast. How many reps can you do? Can you just sweat and get your cardio up? It's about building strength. So we slow everything down. We connect to the breath. We think about how are you in this moment going to strengthen everything toe head. So with the Pilates, the strength and the heat all combined together, it is really a great modality that's going to allow you in 45 minutes to get a full body workout that is going to be transformative. And I love to say that it's more than just Pilates. It is about the mental aspect, because we're so much about community. And when you come into the doors, you feel, it's called Haven because I wanted to create a safe space. So you come into the doors and you feel that safety, that community. And then when you're in the room and you're sweating and you're working and you see the woman or the man next to you doing everything that you're doing and you feed off of each other, it's like this
Mhm.
euphoric feeling that transcends just the physical body. So, yeah, and to your point, it's everything that I have seen work put together, but then on a platform that is so community and relationship and connection based.
Sounds like a dream. I literally cannot wait to visit.
Yes.
When you mentioned the class and the vibe coming together, I was doing some reading a couple of weeks ago, and they were discussing a study where it was difficult for the body to determine and like decipher the difference between group meditation, prayer, or a workout class that was on a lesser level. When you feel that camaraderie and you're all looking at each other doing difficult things, and that aspect of community does cause your brain waves to change and to kind of equilibrialize. I just made that word up. To find equilibrium throughout the room, and then that moment of like community and your hearts all connecting at one, and like it's your heartbeats intertwining, it's like the energy in the room kind of all fusing together, and like what a beautiful thing to just have, like the icing on top of this already incredible class. It's giving your lymphatic system some beautiful work. You're getting the benefits of red light therapy visually through your skin, your brain's interpreting these things on top of the community aspect, and the fact that this is still a type of movement and class where you can continually make it more difficult for yourself, heavier weights, changing your form. There's all different, versions of things. But do you find that people joining your studio are much different after that first class? And do you see a switch where they recognize, like, aha, this makes sense? Like, I've been missing several of these factors all happening at one time, which is also why I was so fascinated to talk with you, because you have truly taken the trifecta of making sure that the mind, body, and soul were all being taken care of in a 45-minute class. It's kind of unheard of.
Thank you. That honestly, I'm like getting emotional because I've put everything that I know into this, and it's just like I'm obsessed with it. But to come back to your question, yes, so it kind of goes in like two prongs. A lot of people are scared of the heat at first, and I get it because that can be really overwhelming. I mean, you're working out and you're doing something that is challenging in a heated room, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, this is intimidating." But then on the other turn, you'll get people that are like, they come out and they're like, "Oh my gosh, that was so much more challenging than I thought it was." I thought it was just going to be like a hot yoga class where you're just like flowing and sweating, and they're like, "Oh, wow." So I'll see, and I make it a point to be in the studio every day. So I see these people that have either just started their fitness journey or they've been doing fitness in different modalities for years and years and years, and they come out of class and it's like this, I call it a Pilates stone, because they just have this look on their face where they're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm not sure what just happened. I love what just happened, and I'm coming back for more." It's like
Mhm.
this immediate euphoric face, and it makes me so happy because I have worked my tail off to come up with this modality, and I found something that I love and that I believe in. And it's so funny. I was talking to a girlfriend and she asked me this probably like 2 months ago, and she was like, "What is the most surprising thing that has happened since opening your studio?" And I swear to you, I couldn't make this up. I was like, that people came back. I was like, and still every day I'm like, "Oh my gosh, people like and love what I've created." It's the most humbling yet amazing experience ever, because I'm like, I love it so much. And that's why I had to put it out into the world. And then for people to love it just as much is a wild feeling.
It's so funny. We all have that like gym that's had like a space in our hearts, or that like studio we'd go to with like the perfect instructors, and you just had your crew that would show up on Tuesday nights, and like you're like, "Oh my gosh, these are my people." And in hearing you describe how obsessed with it you are, I think it's always so beautiful. I mean, on a publicist side of things, I've seen this happen with all different kinds of businesses. And there's always this really beautiful moment where the founder of the business gets to realize that the thing they hoped and wished and prayed that people would like really pick up and adopt and be is equally obsessed with has happened and come to real life. And then in turn, what that space becomes for the community and the people that keep showing up there, I find really special for your particular studio, because it takes a certain kind of person to try something new, especially if they've never done something hot. They get into the space, and I think there's probably a moment where a lot of these people feel that aha moment 15, 20 minutes in, after that first time they had to push themselves. So they're like, no, no, class, it's early. It's early. We got this. We got this. No, no, let's breathe through it. It'll be okay. And they look over to their left and their right, and they're like, all right, she comes a lot. Okay, I can tell. She got through this. All right, nope, they've been here maybe a couple more times than me. Okay, I'm going to be all right. And then you dial in, and then you look up your instructor, and then you realize halfway through you're smiling and you're like, I love this. That place of the aha moment for not only your clients, but for you to be existing within the same space. Like, I want to congratulate you on that, because it's so difficult to bring to life. And you're doing so in a way that is actively changing people moment by moment by giving them the tools via your class to work in here and be simultaneously going back and forth between the brain and the body. Oh man, my leg, I can't hold this for much longer. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Like, it's so rare. I have goosebumps right now because it's been a while since I've been in a class like that. And you just know what change it's wringing your soul of the habits that are no longer suiting the person you're like evolving into and becoming. And I want to state that you've created this space. It's evident. And I hope you're very proud of yourself, because this is really difficult to tap into a person's soul like that who is a client. It's not like they're your sister or your cousin. These are essentially strangers that are now your family, and your business's like heart and soul. It's incredible.
Thank you. I'm like gonna start crying.
You can, we cry here.
Okay. It's like it's it's a dream and it's like so surreal. And it's funny because so many people have said you've got to feel so proud of what you've created and the success that you've been able to manufacture in such a short time. And I don't know if it's like my upbringing or just who I am as a person, but there's a part of me that's like not allowing myself to feel that. And I think it's because I'm like, if I feel that, then maybe it'll all go away. So as long as I just keep working really hard and keep like doing what I think is right and just doing the right next thing and showing up and giving my heart and soul, then it'll just keep growing. And there have been maybe like two or three moments where I've really allowed myself to step back and feel proud. And it's in those moments that I'm like, holy cow, like how did I do this? I think the reason I don't feel proud is because I feel very shocked. Like I said, that I'm just like I'm so humbled and I'm in such a state of like, people like this and they're coming back. And all I wanted was for people to feel better and for people to see a change. Like, you're working your ass off. Like, let's see it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I knew opening the doors that I could do that. And I'm actually very curious. I have a few friends who are in the entrepreneur space, and there's like a little delusion that we have that we're like, I have something that no one else has, so I'm just going to try. And we do it. And I'm very curious if they all, or if you have spoken to other entrepreneurs where they're in the space of they can't believe that what they're doing is working. And like, is it just going to continue to work? And how do they feel? It's like, oh my gosh, it's not like I opened a franchise, right? I created something. And when you create something and people come back and they're like, wow, it's amazing and I love it. It's, I don't even know how to describe it. Is what I'm saying even making sense? Like, I feel like, yeah,
100%. I think first, for anyone listening that's never opened a business, let alone a fitness studio, there are so many barriers and so many roadblocks. And like, my God, you would think it's just, oh, buy some equipment, paint the windows, put up a mirror, you're good to go. Mm-mm. It is difficult. And it's difficult because you're relying on the psyche of an individual to decide that they're ready to do something difficult. And then you are relying on the psyche interpreting what you gave them in that class to excite them enough or be their cup of tea enough that they're going to come back and come back and come
yeah.
back.
And I tell
That's a
this,
lot.
it is a lot. And I tell this to my coaches time and time again, where people can work out anywhere. They can choose any gym. Why are they going to choose Haven? They're going to choose it, yes, because I believe that the modality is amazing, but they're coming back for you. Like, how are you making them feel? They want to come into a space where, exactly like what you said, where someone's in a move and they're like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. My leg is shaking, my leg is burning, but then you see that in their face and something that you say connects with them and they're like, I got this.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. I am stronger than what my mind is telling me right now. And this person just saw me. Maybe that individual that came in a class has had a hell of a week and you don't know what they brought into the mat, but then they see your face, you know their name, you support them, you see the change that they've made through months and classes of work, and you call it out in class. And for that little half second or whatever minute, they're like, this person sees me. It is the most profound feeling ever. I mean, I think about when I take classes at other studios because I still do that. And I get called out saying, oh my gosh, Chelsea, great job, or they notice something. It is just, again, it is so much more than Pilates. It is about that true mental release and that feeling of safety, of community, of connection. And especially right now, where everything feels so disconnected and we're on our phones all the time. We're in this comparison cycle and we're just like, nothing is ever good enough. I'm never good enough. And then you get into this space where someone tells you you are. It is, it's profound.
It has to be profound for you in that matter because I do think, in a way, every entrepreneur is going to have these moments of imposter syndrome. And I think, in all actuality, from being able to see it happen so many times, it always just feels like a moment where an entrepreneur is absolutely on the cusp of a spiritual, like emotional intelligence, like bump up to the next level, but they've got so many to-do lists and like they're focused on the business, and it's a disconnection between recognizing that your business will only thrive if you are on the same page as your business. And throughout the evolution of your business, you are going to need to level up personally before your business can match that next level. And there are some instances where it's reversed. And the business has hit that level first to where the brain is like, I can't do this. I can't repeat this. I don't even know how this happened. I didn't feel confident, when this popped off this way and blah, 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 blah. And you do see the self-worth really start to mess around a little bit with the confidence. And it's the first thing that happens. And I think it's the only thing that will happen for an entrepreneur until they're able to break through that barrier. I think a lot of, both through my 15 years as a publicist and then just the 100 and like at least 175 entrepreneurs now that I've interviewed, it's just been really apparent that we are always first and foremost a thinking, feeling being. It has a lot of really cool things we like to do on top of that. And I think as a business owner, it is certainly coming around more now that people are also worried about what's here and what's here. But before that, I think we were modeling 30-year-old entrepreneurs and up were modeling what they saw of entrepreneurship from the generations before them. And they were typically a very disconnected head and heart generation. And I think we, the head and heart generation, are trying to fuse together a lot. And success is always going to tweak that in a weird way for us that I think is going to present and seems to present a lot of self opportunities for growth. And I think it's only a plus that you felt this way. And I hope you don't still feel this way. If you do, I hope you see that, that was old you's feelings and new you's already been there. Your heart just has to catch up because you're crushing it. You're crushing it so much that you have pop up events. You now have an app because you're over 400 members at month 4 and you're up to a year now. I can only imagine how many members you have. 400 within the first few months. Let's just put a pin in that to discuss in a few seconds because that's insane. But you have achieved so much. Your expansion within Denver and the pop-up events you're doing and the relationships you're creating, they speak volumes. Everyone knows the worth you're providing for your community outside of your client base, and they want a part of that. And I think that's a really beautiful thing for you to be able to offer and show people, because I think more business owners need to know that they got some cool stuff to share. And I think you embracing that is going to give other entrepreneurs that you come in contact with the authority to kind of be like, no, we are doing cool stuff. Like, yes, thank you. We do want to partner with you. Like, we're so honored. That's so cool. It just seems like you're making a really big impact in ways that maybe you didn't set out to right away with what you've put together with Haven.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think that what I envisioned was, I mean, I'm playing for the long game. Like I want this to be around for years and years and years. And so I just had this long-term vision. And then to be able to find so much success so fast just feels insane. And to go back to what you were saying about you having to like level up and your business leveling up, and which it's like the chicken or the egg, it's actually crazy that you say that because every year I set an intention and a word that I want to do for the year. And last year was momentum, and I had that, and I was just going full steam ahead. And this year I have it on a bracelet actually. It's level up. And that is my word and just mentality for the year of like, okay, now how do I take myself as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as a founder, as a creator, as a Pilates coach, take that and then just level it up and continue to bring this excellent service, this excellent attitude, this expertise day to day. Yeah, I'm really trying to lean into the new leveled up version that is Chelsea, like the Chelsea 2.0, instead of the oh my gosh, constant state of shock. I can't believe this is happening. And I do definitely have some imposter syndrome still because I'm like, I am just this girl who had this marketing career and taught fitness for 14 years and then had this delusional moment where she was like, I'm going to open my own studio and then was successful. It's wild. It's crazy because I know people say like if I can do it, anyone can do it. I will say like I have this, I guess you can say, unique personality where if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, if I'm going to open a studio, I am opening a studio.
Mm-hmm.
And I put my heart and soul into it. And again, I know that I'm unique in the fact that I don't have a husband or partner or children. So I do have this time and I am 34. So I have energy to expend and really go full force into it. But yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see what the next few years and several years bring about when I'm just trying to affect change. And to come back to your point of being an entrepreneur, just wanting to like put their gift out into the world, I would say to anyone who has something where they truly believe in it, where they're not just like, okay, yeah, let's try this. Like, no, you believe and you are so passionate about it, go for it because it will show. And people are so drawn to passion that you could be like, I am knitting sweaters, but I make the best damn sweater ever. People are going to see that. And it, that is first and foremost, in my opinion, what creates a business to be successful is that true passion and belief that what you've created is special.
It really does ring true. Like your intentionality, I'm sure, was one of the things that people found most contagious when they came in. I think there's a certain amount of like comfortable prowess we want certainly someone in the fitness industry to have when we walk in the door. We want to feel like we're in good hands. I think a lot of us entering into a gym are like nervous, like, I don't know how to do anything. I don't know what the moves are. And we want to feel like there is that gentle, but very like efficient, effective coach that's going to walk you through it and be like, nah, you got this. It's going to be great. Let's go. It's going to be so much fun. You're going to blunder through it if you do. Who cares? Everyone around you in here had that first class. Come back again and then come back again. And it's going to get easier and better. But I do love that you can absolutely tell you're one of those personalities. If I had to guess, I'd say you're a Virgo or a Leo. You're like, are you a Virgo? Are you a Taurus?
No, and it's so funny. So my sign, I don't feel like I am it. I'm a Sagittarius, but I'm the first day Sagittarius. So I feel
Okay.
like I have way more Scorpio in me than Sag.
Okay. You remind me a lot of my cousin who's a Sag, and she's extremely fortuitous. Like this girl, you have to be like, go to bed. She'll just work for passion 24/7. But your personality is certainly one that I would want to be around often and multiple times throughout the week, even if it was just like class was great, but like I really needed your energy today. And I'm sure you've attracted similar minded people within your coaching staff that are also kind of giving that really beautiful, just relationship. I think business owners really don't account for the landslide of positivity and acceptance and joy that a client can feel when you are injecting authentic, actual emotions and interactions and conversations into their experience. I think it's very overlooked, especially within the fitness industry. Although I feel women have a really great handle on this naturally, we're communicators, but it does sound like 440 new customers within the first few months of your business, I would almost consider unheard of. And I would love to assume that it was probably all from that first interaction when they came in the door. But can you tell us what those first few months were like after thinking that no one would come back again after their first class to having over 440 members within the first few months?
Yeah, so it's been wild. So I'm going to be so honest. I messed everything up for probably the first 90 days, but because I took a two-prong approach to it, I admitted when I messed up. So everything in the studio that could go wrong in a studio went wrong, but I admitted that it went wrong, and I was so adaptable to change, and I changed it immediately. I kept asking every single person that came into the door, what did you like? What did you not like? What would you like to see? Does this class time work? How does your schedule work? And every single person, I got to know their name. I got to know their family. I knew what they were doing that week. Every single person that came in, I knew them. And it was like they were family, and they have become that. They've become an extension of my family. And then whenever anyone would have a suggestion, yeah, sometimes the suggestions weren't awesome, but I listened to it. And 9 times out of 10, I did it. And there were so many people that within the first like 2 months, they were like, this is unique. And I was like, what's unique? And they're like, you're listening to your clients, but then doing what they're asking. And I'm like, it's so wild to me because I'm like, I wouldn't be here in this situation without you. So why would I not take your suggestion or your feedback to heart and implement it, especially if it's a good idea? I don't have investors. I don't have any business partners. It is just me. I also, right now, don't have any full time employees. So everything that you see from marketing, from sales, from back end operations to client management, I do all of it, and my brain can only do so much. So to have client feedback, and again, be it good or bad, I'm gonna try it. Sometimes it
Mhm.
fails, but I wouldn't have known had I not tried it. So I think what really brought in the success, to your point, was the fact that I am and always will be very authentic. And I am very, very community and connection driven. where I don't want anyone to come into the studio and feel what you pinpointed, which was uncomfortable. You step into a studio and you're not acknowledged that you're there. You just have to like push a button and you're checked in. No way. We are going to greet you. We're going to stand up. We're going to smile. We're going to say if we know your name or if it's your first time. And in my opinion, simple in theory, not easy to execute, but it is just being so authentic that people are like, everything that you're saying, good, bad, or indifferent, is who you are. And that alone, I'm going to come back for, especially because you are taking the time to listen to what I'm saying and to hear me and to implement it. And honestly, like, I think that is what has been such a driver of the success of the studio.
I don't doubt it because on top of you being authentic, it also shows to your clients that you don't have an ego problem. I think a lot of business owners are, it's like when you see a review come in to your inbox, it's like, out of being like,
Mm-hmm.
good or bad, this is something I can run with. And people, I think, really sorely underestimate not only the overall value of someone willingly telling you how they feel about something in hopes that you're going to do something about it, because that means they're already invested. And they're invested enough to tell you that they like the majority of what's happening, but this one thing is just, and if you fix that one thing, you've now made it their favorite thing. And that is a repeat customer. And that's a repeat customer that's going to bring girlfriends to class with them. That's a repeat customer that's going to book her birthday party there because she wants to be able to have her own private Pilates class and wear her really cute little teeny tiny little outfit that only her and her friends are going to be around in. And this is going to lead one of the members that are in your class that owns the stationery store down the street to do a little pop up with you so that people that aren't already coming into your studio get to see who you are and get to know you. All of these things happened because you listened. And I think that is the biggest takeaway that you can have. It can be really easy to like put a bag over your head and be afraid of your clients, or you can take it as a moment to look them in the face, thank them for their kindness in offering you this bit of information, and that you're going to do your very best to remedy it as soon as possible. You may not be as quick as Chelsea to be able to implement it immediately, but just them knowing that you've heard them, you recognize that this is something that you need to look into and fix, or at the very least, come back to them with a reason as to why it is what it is. Maybe they're not aware of this thing having to be this way because of XYZ, but they will never know that if you don't engage in an open communication of dialogue that you set from moment one. And if you receive that positively when they're speaking with you, they're going to feel way more inclined to be like, hey, the new lady that just came in looks really uncomfortable. I think you should like run over there and like deal with her fast. Like you want them to be on your side. And they immediately want to be on your side when they see that you're open to them wanting it to be an even better space because they see this one little thing that you can't look at right now because you're still in the turmoil of brand new. We just opened this and that. But I applaud you for taking all of their considerations at heart and doing something about it immediately. And I also want to state that, like, you would have to pay thousands and thousands of dollars to get market studies and hire a big marketing firm or advertising firm to get to the same end result as your clients telling you why they do or don't like what you're doing.
Exactly.
This is free advice that is invaluable. You couldn't pay for it at the level of business anyone listening right now is at unless you have an investor, okay? That's how vital it is to swallow your ego or the uncomfortability that comes in the moment. Let it be a teaching moment. Jump over that uncomfortability herd because you're an adult. Shake hands, say thank you, and move on and fix it. It's that simple. And that is probably one of the larger reasons in the beginning that Chelsea was able to build that cult family following so early out the gate.
Yes. And I still do it to this day. In fact, most of the time when I ask someone something, it's never, hey, how was class? Did you like it? Nope. It is, hey, how was class? What was something that you would like me to improve on? What didn't feel good? What would you rather see? Because I all day, especially people that are in fitness and coaches, they know if you say, how was class? The answer that you will get is, it was good.
great.
You can't do anything with that. Like, no, I want to know what didn't feel right in your body. Or next class, what do you want to do differently? Or what do you want to listen to? What is working best in your body? Give me something that I can build on and make this better for you. Because again, at the end of the day, without you, I'm not here.
Yeah, it's that simple. I think it really does just come down to it being a personal growth moment and like maybe in your life things that were bad were always your fault. This isn't your fault. It's a business. It's just simply a tool for you to continue to evolve alongside. There's no faults in this. Certainly there are faults. If you know you messed up, you messed up, but if it's just something as simple as like, oh man, song 3, it's too much. Like can that go to the end or like not at all? Like it takes me out of my space where I'm at. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's an easy fix. I didn't write song 3. You're gone, song 3. Let me pop in something else. Like it could be as simple as like, can you please unplug the air freshener in the lobby? I'm so sensitive to scents. It's already so hot in here. Like again, not your fault, easy to fix, but you have to maintain an open form of communication so that these aren't things that cause that person to leave and go 3 blocks over or just to go to the gym closer to her way home. Like you want to make it a place where they feel everything is being completely catered to in a non like look at me way. It's just you're serving everything that they're looking for when they walk in the door by just being yourself. I think
Thousand.
that's what makes you so special, honestly. And I haven't even been near space, but from what you're telling me, I already know. I already know what environment you've cultivated. And I think it speaks volumes that you're still here a year later. I think no matter what business you're in, especially with the last few years we've had, business is so tumultuous right now. Kudos to you for being able to not only build a business that feels good, it's still here, it's standing the test of time. It's going to continue to evolve because you're evolving with it. You're taking note of the ways it needs to change. I love so much that you added the on-demand version because I really do want to mention that for people that are listening that aren't in Denver. So tell us a little bit about your on-demand Haven and then where people can visit you when they're in Denver because Denver's a great city to visit, guys. It doesn't have to only be in the winter. It's beautiful in the spring. It's a beautiful city. And I absolutely love where you're located. So tell everyone where you're located first, what that environment's like, and then about on demand.
Yeah, so we are just south of downtown Denver in Greenwood Village. So we have one studio right now, and it's just an amazing location. So we're in Greenwood Village in Colorado. And then we also have our on demand platform. So you can get everything from a standard Haven class, which is a full 45-minute full body. But then we also have different offerings where you can do something where it's just lower body focused or upper body or core and obliques. We have an entire form series that breaks down every single posture and goes through how you should feel it in your body, the proper form, the proper alignment. And I launched that just before the holidays because I knew that people would be traveling, kind of getting out of their routine. And I was like, I want to offer something to people that are maybe just on the go and they need something really quick, or they're out traveling, or they have family visiting, to really be able to bring Haven anywhere you go. I was like, the best thing to do would be an online platform. So we have that. Videos and new workouts get uploaded every week. It's super fun. We have a great time doing that. And then, yeah, so we have one studio right now. And yeah, hoping to just continue to grow and build the best and biggest community that we can.
I have no doubt you're going to do it. I literally can't wait to visit you. It'll probably be in the spring, but I'm so excited. I have one final question that I ask all of my guests, and it's this: Chelsea, how do you make your life rich?
How do I make my life rich? I think it's a easy answer, hard to practice, and that is spending quality time with people I love.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Simple and beautiful and very rewarding for sure.
Yes.
Chelsea, you're a treasure. This was so joyful. I cannot wait to meet you in real life. Everyone, please click the link in the show notes. There will be access to Haven's just Instagram page. So you can check out everything they're doing, stay in touch with them, plan your vacation to Denver if you're not already in Colorado. And then there'll be a link to the on demand. Please go give that a looky loo, especially if you're like, I want to get into Pilates, but need to do it at home. I feel you. We can't always get to a studio, but this is a really beautiful substitution for that. And I love that you teach form because I can download all the Pilates apps I want. If I don't know what the heck they're doing to begin with, I'm just fumbling through the class. So that was so, you can tell a true instructor made those videos. So thank you so much for that for all of us that are going to need help with our form. But this was such a pleasure. And thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Sarah. I had honestly a really great time. Thank you.
Thank you.